Forget everything you think you know about Dracula. The year is 2025, and the vampire who lives in the shadows of pop culture seems more alive than ever. But the Dracula you know, the fangs, the cape, the castle, the immortality, is only half the story. Because behind the Hollywood monster lies a chilling truth. Dracula was inspired by a man who was far more terrifying than any vampire. A ruler so ruthless, so strategic, so feared, that even his enemies recorded his brutality in horror. And yet, that man never drank blood. Today, we peel back the layers of myth, literature, legend, and history to ask, who was Dracula? Why did Bram Stoker write this character? Was he really based on Vlad the Impaler? And why do millions of people still believe the world's most famous vampire is real? Welcome to Donut Stories. This is the untold truth of Dracula. Our journey begins not in Romania, but centuries earlier. In ancient Europe, where people feared something far older than Dracula. The vampire myth existed long before Bram Stoker. In Eastern Europe, villagers believed the dead could rise again as creatures called Strigoi Upir Nosferatu Moroi. These undead beings were said to steal life energy, drink blood-haunt families, and roam the night. People buried their dead with iron spikes, garlic, or stones in their mouths to stop them from returning. These myths spread across Romania, Hungary, Serbia, Greece, and Russia. The fear of the undead was not a story, it was a survival belief. This was the soil where Dracula would later grow. Now we turn to the man most people think is Dracula, Vlad III of Wallachia, better known as Vlad Cepej, or simply Vlad the Impaler. Born in 1431, he was the son of Vlad II Dracul, a knight in the secret order of the dragon. The word Dracul means the dragon, and Dracula literally translates to son of the dragon. Vlad ruled a small region of modern Romania during a brutal era where the Ottoman Empire and European kingdoms fought constantly. To survive, he used fear as a weapon, and his signature punishment, impaling. He would drive a wooden stake through the bodies of criminals, enemies, and invaders, leaving them to die slowly, sometimes over days. Foreign ambassadors wrote of forests of impaled bodies, the stench of death surrounding his capital, Vlad casually eaten meals among the corpses. Some stories claim he dipped bread in the blood of his enemies. Others describe him drinking from cups filled with blood. Historians still debate whether these were exaggerations created by enemies or real events. But one thing is certain, Vlad the Impaler terrified Europe. A man so feared, he became eternal. Here comes the twist. Bram Stoker, the Irish author of Dracula, published in 1897, never visited Romania. He found most of his inspiration in London libraries, folklore books, historical notes, and travel writings. He read about Vlad the Impaler, and he loved the name Dracula. But the character himself, the immortal aristocratic vampire, was also inspired by Irish legends of blood-drinking demons, the real-life cholera outbreaks, European plague, fears Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess, and Victorian-era fears of the foreign other. So yes, Stoker borrowed Vlad's name and brutality, but created a new monster altogether. Dracula is half history and half imagination. When people imagine Dracula, they think of a massive stone fortress. But Bram Stoker didn't describe Castle Dracula clearly. He invented parts of it. However, modern Romania associates Dracula with Bran Castle, a beautiful medieval fortress perched on cliffs. Tourists visit it thinking, this is Dracula's home. But the historical Vlad never lived there. He likely visited it, maybe even passed through its gates. But his real residence was Poenari Fortress, a ruined stronghold high in the mountains. Stoker never saw either castle. He created a fictional version that blended Transylvanian geography, Gothic architecture, and pure nightmare fuel. The castle that haunts your imagination was born from literature, not history. Dracula introduced many rules we now assume are ancient vampire lore. No reflection, fear of garlic death by sunlight, wooden stakes turning into bats, sleeping in coffins, immortal bloodlust. But guess what? Most of these rules were invented by Stoker. Traditional Romanian strigoi, walked in daylight blended with the living, didn't turn to dust. Had no issue with mirrors usually returned from family curses, not bites. Hollywood shaped the vampire more than ancient folklore ever did. The vampire we know today is a creation of theater and cinema. The first Dracula movie wasn't even authorized. In 1922, a German studio created Nosferatu, a terrifying silent film inspired by Stoker's story. But because they didn't have rights, they changed names. Dracula became Count Orlok. Jonathan Harker became Hutter Stoker's widow, sued the studio. A court ordered every copy of the film destroyed, but a few prints survived. And that illegal film became the foundation of modern horror cinema. Nosferatu introduced the shadowy figure, the stretched fingers, the eerie walk, and the haunting atmosphere that still defines vampires today. Dracula was resurrected not by literature, but by cinema. In 1931, Universal Pictures released Dracula starring Bela Lugosi, a Hungarian actor with piercing eyes and a hypnotic accent. He didn't look like Vlad. He didn't look like Orlok. He invented the Dracula we know today, the cape-slick hair, hypnotic stare, elegant speech, aristocratic charm. This version became the template for every Dracula after him. The vampire was no longer a decaying corpse. He became a dark, seductive gentleman. Hollywood turned Dracula into culture. This is the part most people don't know. For decades, people genuinely believed vampires existed. In the 1700s, European newspapers reported real vampire attacks. Villagers exhumed corpses they believed were undead. Some bodies were found, bloated with blood around their mouths, nails and hair appearing longer, skin shrunk back. Science later explained all of this. Gases in decomposing bodies, blood pooling hair, and nails appearing longer as skin dries. But villagers didn't know science, so they believed in vampires. In the 1890s, when Stoker wrote Dracula, many British readers wondered if the creature could be real. Even in the 20th century, Romania had villages performing anti-vampire rituals. Dracula blurred the line between myth and reality so effectively that many people still wonder today. Scientists have searched for real explanations behind vampire myths. Here are the most surprising. 1. Porphyria, a rare disease causing extreme sensitivity to sunlight. Some patients' skin blisters instantly, like vampire lore. 2. Rabies causes aggression, biting, and sensitivity to light. 3. Tuberculosis creates pale skin and coughing blood, often blamed on vampiric attacks. 4. Mistaken understanding of decay. Explained earlier, villagers misinterpreted decomposition as undead behavior. 5. Psychological fear. Humans create monsters to explain what they fear. Science doesn't support real vampires. but it does explain how the myth survived. Today, Dracula is everywhere. Movies, Halloween, costumes, novels, memes, video games, tourism, conspiracy theories, and even paranormal communities. Some people believe Dracula is a real, immortal vampire, a demon. Vlad Reborn, a bloodline that still exists, or a symbol of secret elites. Most people love Dracula because he represents immortality, forbidden power, the fear of the night, and the seductive danger of the unknown. But here is the real donut story. Dracula is not one thing. He is a myth made of thousands of fears, stories, and human imaginations. A monster built from ancient folklore, historical brutality, Victorian fear, and Hollywood fantasy. And the most powerful part, people today still feel he might exist. Not because of fangs and coffins, but because Dracula represents something deeper. The fear of what hides in the dark, and the fear of what hides inside us. If you loved uncovering this hidden history, smash that like button and subscribe to Donut Stories. What other myths, monsters, or legends should we explain next? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next one.